Thank you, Dean Griffey-Brown, esteemed faculty and administration, and the loving family and friends who traveled close and far to be here with you today, and especially to the class of 2025 for this opportunity for me to share my story 22 years after I graduated from this fine institution. I'm truly grateful and honored. Little did I know 22 years ago that I would be standing here again at graduation, delivering a speech that could have been written by AI. For the record, it's not. I want to begin by saying congratulations, class of 2025. You've made it through a rigorous, intense, transformative experience. And your journey didn't start with orientation. It started long before that with a quiet idea in your heart, maybe I should do an MBA. Then came the essays, the tests, the endless studying, the rejections, the waiting, and finally, that one acceptance letter from Thunderbird that changed everything. And now here you are, sitting in cap and gown, so let's take a moment to celebrate that. You came here to expand your global minds, and Thunderbird delivered. You've learned from some of the finest professors and alongside some of the most diverse and fascinating classmates in the world. You balanced a ton of group projects where not everyone was pulling their weight, right? You know who you are, and there's someone raising her hand. Or you wrestled through Friday morning classes and meetings after a great night in the pub. Oh, I remember the pub. I was a bartender there for most of my time at Thunderbird. And it taught me how to make cocktails and how to make small talk with strangers, and those are two important skills in business. In many ways, it was a miracle that I actually made it to Thunderbird. You see, I grew up from a small town in Belgium. Belgium represented? Oh yes, one person? Two, with me included. You see, I grew up in a small town in Belgium, the oldest of 4 children, in a very traditional family. My parents were earnest accountants. They've never owned a passport or flew a plane. And in fact, they start to panic if they can't even see the church tower from their home. And that is a very Belgian expression. But they believed in one thing, education, especially language education. They send us on summer camps in the UK to learn English, and French camps in Wallonia, which is the French-speaking part of Belgium, without realizing how valuable that investment would later be in my life. From the time I was a teenager, I dreamed of exploring the world and experience different cultures. I wanted adventure. I wanted an international career, and Belgium was simply too small for me. After college in Antwerp, I started working for Procter & Gamble in Belgium as a sales rep. Turns out, not so good in sales. So I left the company, and I left Belgium to make it here. And I chose Thunderbird with intention. In fact, it was the only school I applied to. So how lucky was I to be accepted? I remember vividly screaming from the top of my lungs when that email came through. So in August of 2001, I landed in Glendale, Arizona, just weeks before 9/11. On that day, Belgium never felt as far as it did. That year also saw the Enron scandal, which reshaped corporate America by highlighting the need for ethical leadership, transparency, and institutional checks and balances. We also weathered the dot-com bust, but not all was gloom. That same era saw Apple launch the iTunes Store, which changed the music industry forever. A reminder that in great disruption, innovation finds its voice. It was an unsettling time for sure, but I think the class of 2025 wins the prize of graduating in one of the most tumultuous times this country and the world has ever seen. There's uncertainty in most countries, industries, and in people's hearts. I asked ChatGPT for 10 most positive things that have happened in 2025 so far. When I tell you that the first Chinese player to win the World Snooker Championship is on the list, you know we're grasping at straws here. 2 weeks after I graduated in May 2003, I joined Johnson & Johnson, the largest healthcare company in the world. I moved from hot and dry Arizona to dreary Edinburgh in Scotland to join the European marketing team. And for the next 20 years, I served in the healthcare industry. I took many career risks. I moved 7 times for Johnson & Johnson internationally. That's when the languages came in handy. And after a series of commercial roles, I took a new challenge in a completely different function, supply chain. On my first day, I was greeted by my new colleagues who told me, "Welcome to the dark side." And I wondered if I'd made a mistake. I worked hard to nurture a growth mindset to beat out the raging imposter syndrome. After supply chain, I became global president for one of J&J's largest medtech platforms in 2019. My team and I designed and led strategies for sustainable growth across varied geopolitical economies and healthcare regulatory landscapes. Thunderbird set me up for success. Working in healthcare aligned with my values, helping people. I saw firsthand how innovation in surgical devices could change lives for patients with cancer, obesity, and more. But leadership wasn't always smooth. During my presidency, I faced COVID-related supply chain chaos, product recalls, launch delays, and shifting regulatory policies in China that directly affected my platform, just to name a few. Nothing prepares you for those challenges. You grow as a leader, not when things are easy, but when they're hard. When your team needs you to show up with strength, even if you're running on empty yourself. That's why building resilience matters. Taking care of your mind, your body, and your soul isn't a luxury. It is self-management. It's especially important when building a career. Feels like running a few marathons. One of the most meaningful experiences I had at Johnson & Johnson was our partnership with Operation Smile. Perhaps some of you have heard of it before. But it's an incredible organization that provides free cleft surgeries to children in underserved countries. What began in 1988 with a box of surgical sutures from a rep's car trunk became a global movement with over 40,000 employees involved. And in 2012, I joined a medical mission in Morocco with Operation Smile. Seeing a child smile for the first time after a simple surgery that only took 15 minutes and a few sutures was one of the most profound moments of my life. I've been fortunate to work with exemplary leaders and mentors who've guided me along my successful journey at Johnson & Johnson. Then last year, I bid the corporate world farewell. It felt like a divorce. So I took 3 months off and I traveled and I hiked the Camino de Santiago. And when I came back, I felt healed, at peace, and clear about my next chapter. Today, I serve as an executive leadership coach. I work with leaders around the world to help them lead with courage, resilience, and authenticity. And I do it with immense joy. Leaving the corporate world taught me this. We spend so much of our lives following the scripts that others write for us, our parents, teachers, employers, but at some point, you must write your own. This is your life. You only get one. Live it with joy. Live it in alignment with your values and your purpose. Never settle for a life that doesn't feel right in your soul. Be the kind of leader people feel safe around. Safe to tell you they're burned out. Safe to tell you their child is in a hospital. Safe to tell you that they need help. True success isn't measured by titles or money or applause. It's measured by the trust that you build, the kindness that you extend, and the integrity that you hold. I'll leave you with a quote from Steve Jobs. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So have the trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. When you follow your heart, the rest will follow. And remember, your Thunderbird journey doesn't end today. You are now part of a 50,000 strong alumni family, a global tribe of bold and brilliant leaders. Congratulations, class of 2025. I can't wait to see where your dots will take you.